Mhm. Oh, I guess I'm streaming. I'm still getting used to this. Oh, dang it. I gotta double check I'm streaming every time. Otherwise, I'm nervous that I'm not. Maybe right now. Yeah, okay, I'm streaming right now. Man, I'll figure it out one of these days. Anyways, if you're I just created a stream and said, "Hey, what the heck? Let's start streaming." So, there's no one in here talking to me. I'm talking to a wall. Um, so here's what I'm doing. I have a cross-section system that does a lot with a little bit of input, but a big part of, moving forward with my systems is I'm adding things that save you time, that are complicated things. And then the process for getting you to that is typically pretty complicated to get it to automate the way I need it to be automated. But then I've got to go back and look at it from a new lens and think, hey, this isn't that intuitive to an end user. And how can I scale it back and make it more simple and make it easy for an end user to see? And I mean, this is case in point. We're showing my layout template, and right off the bat, this is overwhelming. It has too much stuff in it. But these things do something. And and even though they do something, they require instructions. And so how do you kind of build in instructions? And that's tough. And since Chief isn't an open APK, you can't just build in some tool that'll, give someone some highlighted instructions as they hover over something. So then how do you approach it? Do you build this, some side project where it's, I don't know, some other helper outside of Chief Architect? You never know. So a lot of these things are really complex. And then you think you got to go back and revisit it and see if you can't simplify it. So one of the things that's complex, and I've simplified it as much as I could up until X16, was my detail system, which is it drives all the annotations on this sheet from some central place in my plan template. And then it makes it so that we've got details that can be traded out and represent cross sections. And so you can build them really quickly. Now I could build this cross section in a matter of minutes, but the setup for this is a little bit of work, and the setup page for this is immediately complex. And so the beginning user to my templates always looks at this and thinks, wow, that's a lot. And it is. It's a lot. And so I'm wondering if I can't simplify this system. And I think I've come up with a way of doing that, and it's specific to X17. So the way that this current system works, and I'm just sharing this publicly, by the way, because it takes so much work to build this that I'm not really worried that someone's going to steal these ideas. More power to you if you go and put in the work to do this. It takes many, many hours to build this, so I'm happy to share the information on how it was done. And so these are schedules, and these schedules come from notes, and those notes dictate an annotation. So we have an annotation in the note itself, and then it sees if that note is schedule number 1. So if I slide this 2 by Doug Fur up to schedule number 1, what we get is that this has been updated immediately, and it's been updated across all 75, 80 details that I have, so that we just get to drive annotations from one central place. But let's back up again and say, hey, this is still an overwhelming screen. And what if we could make it so that we never had to have a novice end user look at this screen? Now, for one, the model is not communicating with this. It couldn't before, not without a lot of steps, a lot of manual steps and complex steps that was even more complex than just sending someone to this page. But now I think we can, and that's because we got an object information panel in framing members. We have new framing member defaults in X17. So if I come into default settings, framing, we have a framing members section here, and I can start setting up framing member specifications. I'll show you how this kind of works, and I've got to kind of try to think through this system as I'm building it live. In my membership area and in my forums and in my Discord server and in our just comments in YouTube, I do see often enough that people love to see me struggle. They love to see me kind of fight through these things and see my process for creating systems. And you're going to see me struggle on this because this is not a straightforward thing. And I haven't even thought about how to do this beyond just about 5 minutes of concentrating on it. And I haven't tried anything. So here's the thought. The existing system I want to remain. It's a fallback system in case we want to override from something that's coming from the model that's not correct. So the end goal is driving these annotations from the model. That's awesome. But we still want to be able to override those. So I think what I need is an option, and I'm going to use floor framing as my test. I need an option to say, hey, we're going to drive this from the model. And so this is going to be a unique process. It's going to be different from any previous process here. So here's my floor framing annotations. They're built from notes. And so I'm going to copy a note over, and this is going to be my test note. And what it's doing here is it's picking up schedule number from object information, this field value. And so I think I can just say, I think I can just do this. So opening closing percentage signs is basically a call to do a text replacement using our macro systems. And if we're going to do it in an inline code, we need a global. And so the way my system works is if this note is schedule number 1, we're just going to grab this field value. So we typically would not put a macro in here, we'd just put text. And so it's just going to define a global macro, which keep in mind that works across all open plans, all open layouts. We were going to define a global macro in this system that then is used, that same macro, this is really complex, is used in an index that is then being referenced in all details. The full system is very, very complex. So adding to it is supposed to be scalable since it's all built now. So what I'm doing, if I can try to talk this out in a way that's an end user, a viewer can understand, is I'm creating a potential new index value. And that value is going to be a global where I'm saying, hey, floor framing from model. And I need to remember this, so I'm going to copy this. And I have clipboard history turned on, so even if I copy other things, I'll be able to access this. So floor framing from model. And so this becomes an option now in my schedule for floor framing. Did it right. Floor framing from model. And I don't see it. I do wrong. See, you're going to see me struggle. Oh, it's right here. It's this blank. Okay, so the reason it's blank is because that input was a macro call, and the macro call doesn't exist. So I need to change the text that's being reported to the schedule is being reported from text above line. So I can just say from model. I think. And no, that's not true. So columns to include reset. This is coming from text. Okay. Cancel. So this is coming from, so I'm just going to undo once. Okay, open this up. And this text is driving a name, but we can just add outside of this percentage call from model. There we go. So it's got some blank and then it has from model, which is why it looks like a double line. I'm not sure that I could delete the first line. Anyways, just drag this up a little bit. So if I drive this to the top here, and then as a test, we just did for framing from model equals test. Okay, sure. Then that did not open, and that might be because we're doing a macro call within a schedule that is producing a macro call. So that usually means we have to open a schedule and close it to initiate it. Oh, and test doesn't mean anything unless we put it in quotes. And there we go. Okay, so that's working. The main problem here is that we're doing a macro call inside of a macro call. So even if we made this come from the model, somehow we have to get this to initialize, because otherwise someone has to come in here and open up a bunch of schedules. That might not be something I solve in this live video. So now I want to do the true test, which is, let me get back to a plan view where we've got framing. And I'm going to regenerate this framing, but first I want to get into our framing. Oops, not manual framing members. Get into joists. Okay. And then in object information panel. And I think just in label replacement. And we want to know what a joist even reports. So we're missing some details here. Hold on. I'm going to select a joist. Let's get some information about this. I think that we want, yeah, we want nominal size. But we want this. And then there is no indication of spacing, unfortunately. And we wish we had that. Want nominal size, and maybe we want material, but maybe not. So really we're just getting the size. Okay. So back to our default to show how this kind of works is framing, framing members, joists. Table replacement means that we're going to do floor framing from model equals nominal size and then I think I have to say plus text at 16-inch, and we're going to do a little escape character. The escape character says that, you know, this quotation mark is not calling text, so we're you know, ignoring that this is a character that could be indicating we're calling text within a macro, so that it just is a string that is a quotation mark. The 16-inch O period C period. And we'll probably get a little fancier than this because I have a global system that drives the species of wood, and we'll probably add that. But right now, I just want to test this real quick. So there we go. Press OK. That's joists. Press done. And now go up a floor and rebuild that framing. Maybe that worked. And it still says test from model. Oh, but I didn't open and close this. And it still says test from model. Okay. There we go. This is the start of my struggle. So first of all, let's see if these actually carried with them that object information. They did. And so why didn't that generate something? Probably because it's not a valid macro for some reason. So let's do a little copy and let's do a little test. Equals owner dot nominal size 16, and it's not doing this correctly. Okay. So I need an inline script. I'm going to go ahead and use a little ChatGPT cheat. Something people don't know is I'm really good at troubleshooting problems with macros. I am not good at writing macros. That is a misconception. Let's see. Inline code generator. They didn't give me that in a little code block, but let's just test this real quick. We won't even define anything yet. Let's do. Okay, so that worked. You can't see this. Okay. So that's correct. What did I do wrong there in my version? I don't really see what I did wrong. Mine looked like almost identical to that. That was close. Eh. By the way, I have no idea if my mic works or anybody's even watching this. If someone is watching this, throw me a little message in the active chat, and that way I can see. That was close. Eh. By the way, I have no idea if my okay, there's that. Okay, level. Wait a minute. Should be able to do a little this. Okay, I think that's working. Holy cow. All right, so this is cool. And I didn't have to update the schedule. Okay. So I want to open up plan. Double click this heading. This is going to give me a little side by side. So here's what we're looking at. This guy right here. So here's what I should be able to do. Change my floor defaults to 7.5. Interesting what happened here. Why did that just change? I'm not sure. Okay, reframe this. Which didn't frame anything for some reason. View my working. That's okay. That says 2x8. Okay, so I think I do need to open this up again. Yeah, to open that up, but it is being driven from the model. That's it. That's the end of the that's the end of the live show. Glad you could join me. There's no one in here anyways. At what point do you just examine, the psychosis of a streamer that has to just talk to a window and a monitor and pretend like people are there? All right, well, that's very cool. So now I got to think about this. I'm curious about what the little 16-inch backslash thing, what happened there. There is no backslash there. How is it translating that backslash? But that's the annotate saying that. So we're defining a macro inside of a macro. Do I even need to do this? Do I take away the percentage call? Boy, that's really confusing. I'm gonna build off. I think I need to escape. I do need to have an escape. Yeah, if I really knew my stuff, like Joe Carrick or Michael be up in Alaska, they'd know exactly what I'm running into right now. I'd have to like really write this down, map this out, to understand my full system, which is saying, okay, we've got the start of it is the framing member, and it's got a percentage call defining a global. And then that goes to a note that is saying, hey, let's look at a custom field macro, and within that, that's what we're going to report. And within that is this other macro that's defining a global. And if it's schedule number 1, then that's going to define a new global. Or I can just futz around and try things like this. And still does not produce correct escape. I mean, I could G sub. Oh, I'm getting clever. Let's see here. To put something conditional in. Or a different idea. It's just going to be a test, but this is going to be like a hash index. So here's the thought. If you define a macro within text macro management, then it will be formatted differently than if we access direct from custom fields. Custom fields is very unique in that you can act. Custom fields is what? It's an array. Yeah, custom fields is an array, and so you're basically accessing a particular custom field as an array. Because it's an array, we don't need the same, we don't have the same rules for executing the script. It's really hard to explain that. But so if I generate my global within a macro, and then I put that macro in the custom field, it's going to execute differently. So I might be able to just do this, which is basically doing like a pass through, if you will. And with this logic, I can do something conditional, which would say, hey, we're only going to report nominal size if the source object is, of an object type joist. So I could put all the conditions for all different framing members in one macro. It'd be put in a custom field of all framing members, making it a lot easier to manage, especially scalability down the line. Evaluation error. I approach this like across my fingers. Well, I don't know why it has an eval error, because here it does not. Oh, look, I got someone in here. Feel again. You probably rewound and just caught up to the part where I said, "Hey, is anyone in here?" Okay, label replacement. gives an eval error. Why? Why? Why is that giving an? Oh, it's not there. Okay, there we go. Fix the formatting. That theory was correct. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Gilligan, it looks like you might be up at the live portion. Thank you. Thank you for responding. It's nice to know that it's not just me in here. Okay, so recap. I explain this whole system. So I have a note. Within the note, in the object information panel, is a custom field. We do that because it's much easier. Someone can put in just text. They don't need to understand coding. So they can put in whatever annotation they want. For example, I can come in here and I can, in this label replacement, put anything I want. And what will happen is that becomes an option. And then the way this works is the note itself says, hey, if I am schedule line number 1, then we're going to define a global macro that goes across all our details that's pointed to the floor framing in this case. So it's a way we can add additional annotations that we're using commonly, and then on a project by project basis, set up your project. So enter X17 and framing members have defaults and they have an object information panel, which makes them immensely more powerful because you can put in conditional scripts to say, the next part of this is say, hey, if I'm, 2x8, or I could say, hey, if my material states that it's fur, if it includes the word fur, then we're going to put the term DF in front of this. Now, in this case, I still want to use my global species setup here. And you can see here, I'm saying that $SBC is my global species sign. What's really great about me just putting an indexed and conditional macro inside of my framing member, one is that I could do this. I can come into defaults, framing members, and I can select everything here, edit them, and in the object information panel, just put this script. And now I am managing this from one location, meaning I don't have to ever go to those defaults again. Now I can edit something in my framing index macro, but I need to put a conditional check for what kind of framing member it is. So then the next part of this is, I want to say it's nominal size SBC. Oh, let's see. I think I have to say plus SBC. Maybe. Plus, and then I need a space before the at. In this case. Let me see what that does when I build all framing again, which I think if I build all framing from this screen, it updates. Oh, didn't. So I probably have an eval error again because of how I formatted that. Let me just fix that. Get wrong. Something about the plus sign. Doing that. No, isn't that exactly what I wrote? See, but yeah, what I wrote. What did I do? So it's going to show me an error because I don't have framing member selected, which I should. Now I get a proper error. Oh, and I don't have an firing correctly. But it needs a space. Unexpected keyword and there we go. All right. There we go. So that means if I do this and changes all the species to SPF, it did not change the framing member because the framing member probably needs to be rebuilt. Let's try delete. Oh, delete object. All framing. So that's not updating. Okay, so we don't like that method. Curious why that's not updating. Wait, when I finally get into here, yeah, this is showing correct. Interesting. Try a little sec. Huh, there it is. Oh, I bet I know what I needed to do. All right, let's try this. Take this Doug for a backup here. This is something I used to have to do before, and I'm gonna have to figure out a fix for this. This still shows SPF. I don't know if we need to rebuild the framing. I don't think we do, but I think I do need to open the row object. No, that still shows. So it wants me to reorder this. Oh, that's still not it. Did not rebuild, so let's try rebuilding. I'll try. Oh. No. Huh. I don't know. I'll have to sit down and think about that one. That's complicated. Some combination of opening the right things gets us there. So far, none of it worked. How did I do that? Just a second ago. All I did was reorder this. Right? That changed. That did not change this. It's interesting. Wait a minute. That's interesting. Now my whole system's not working. Which I found that if I get into the weeds with this, that sometimes I need to shut it all down. Might have caused some kind of loop. Oh, well, here's a problem. That's not schedule number 1. Oh, because I deleted I deleted an object that was in schedule number 1. All right, so I need to renumber the schedule. Yes, and that fixed that issue. Okay. And here's the from model, but it's still the old species. When row object doesn't do it. Opening a framing member does it. Opening a framing member. Okay. If all we ever needed to do was opening a framing member as opposed to coming back and opening these schedules, that would be very nice. That would be a simple way of, for an end user, a little small instruction for them. All right. This is working. We're building floor framing from the model. Let's test it again. So first floor framing, pick up that this is 11.5. And also now we have to construction I joist. We could derive information like that from it, I think. Let's just try it real quick. Let's go, construction is joist. Oh, but the type is driven from our defaults. Okay. So let's go 11.7/8 instead. Let's see what craziness this does. Huh. Isn't that cool? That's so interesting. Okay. This is exciting stuff for me. If I could get an end user just, 80 details and the ability to build out 500 more from those same details because they're driven from the model. And then on top of that, you're building out sections in just a few minutes now instead of even 20 minutes. It's just like 2 minutes. That is pretty compelling. Okay, so let's see what we got in our framing defaults now. So this is where we set up that this is going to be roll, blah, blah, blah. Roll is automatic, type is lumber, type is I joist in this case. And build the framing. And let's go pick up what this is. So well, actually, let me just do my search mac instead. So somewhere in here is type, object type, type name, I joist. So now we're going to do a little script, and I'm going to use my cursor AI for this. I think I also have any type as a pre-done thing that I've got here. Floor joist is any type, but we want type name. Okay. So Cursor AI, if you're not a member on my channel, VIP member anyways, you might not know about this, but Cursor AI is what I use nowadays to create really complex systems with my Ruby scripting. and need to export framing index macro. Cursor should be able to see framing index. Yes. Let's get in here. I want you to create a new macro that is named any underscore type underscore name, so that it sits along type the any type macro that we already have. What that's going to do is just going to be owner context and then the MVP type underscore name as an output. For those of you that don't know, MVP stands for name value pair in Ruby. Then in my framing index macro, unless any type equals downcase, quote unquote, framing, then we will add our macros dot any underscore type underscore name to our output. Let's see what it does. So the thought here is that we're going to reference, the reason I made a separate macro for the any type name portion of this is because we'll use it somewhere else. We'll use it in some other macro system. It's a way of just saying, first of all, any type looks at, Chief Architect calls different objects a variety of different types. They don't just use the type NVP. They call it object type. They call it name type instead of just consolidating all that. Who knows why? Probably some internal thing, and also the code's 30 years old. Probably something having to do with that. So it's not, we're not just inheriting from a type property, which I wish we were, because now we're getting into SQL database type stuff. So I use any type in many different macros to just report a type of an object. You know, basically consolidating all those various NVPs that are called type so that it just reports, you know, one thing from it. And then referencing that type, I can do conditional statements. Hey, if any type reports that this is a framing member, then we want to do this, for example. So in this case, we're saying, hey, unless type name is lumber, well, rather, if type name's lumber, do nothing. But if it's not lumber, then let's report what that is. In this case, what we're doing is, if it's not lumber, then it's assumed to be some other member like an I-joist, and we actually want to see that, so that in our case of our nominal size, 1.5 by 11 7/8, it should then say I-joist. And then also, we're going to have to put some conditional check in there to say, hey, if any type name is lumber, then we want to include that species global, the $SBC that I put in there earlier. And meanwhile, chat's really slow because I'm on a slow request thing because I burned all my credits for this service. So I'm just in here filling air. I imagine people that are on this one just has this on as background noise. So it makes me want to go play something from Dumb and Dumber where he just screams in the car. The most annoying noise in the world. Meanwhile, while that's taking its sweet time, get in here. The main problem with the system right now is this guy right here. There's no way for us to determine this, I don't think, this 16 on center. I don't think there's any NVPs across the entire model that state that specific detail, what the spacing is of your framing of a room. Oh, maybe of a room. Sometimes you just gotta talk out loud to get some ideas. So we have molding, ceiling, finish layers. Floor platform layers. Let's take a close look at this. Lumber first package, that's our subfloor. Here's our framing. Area. Yeah, no mention of spacing. Boy, wouldn't have that been a good idea. Yeah, there's nothing that I know of that will tell you spacing. Surprised no one's ever requested that, or not that I know of anyway. All right, what do we get here? All right, well, I wanted it to create a brand new standalone macro, but it packaged it together with my framing index, which that's okay. Or no, it just updated the framing index. Okay, that part's good. Where do we see any type name? I don't see that. What did it do? Oh yeah, it packaged it together. And then the value is type name. Okay. Okay. Let's see what this got here. I just get to import this. This is what's really cool about Cursor AI. I don't need to create things per se. I just get to come in here and import this new JSON file, which is framing index. Place the existing. So that brought in any type name. Unspecified because what are we doing? We're not selecting anything. We're selecting a room. Let's just check this out. Okay, any type name is iJoist. Perfect. And then framing index did not work. So what did we do? If macros any type downcase, no, any type name downcase. Now what do we get? Anything? No. Type name downcase, not equals, includes. Includes. Include. Ha! So we got the iJoist in there. It's just the wrong order. Then we're going to do this. We need species gone. Lots of things. What did I do here? There we go. Look at this output. 1.5, 11, 7, 8, I joist at 16 on center. Okay, we got the start of something. It's gonna, sure. I exporting this to framing index, yes, and exporting any type name and any. Spelling, you can do this. So exporting this puts this back into the programming for this right here. We're just going to hit accept. There we go. In fact, we're going to do word wrapping so we understand that. And then we do have any type name in here as well. Very cool. It's the start of something good. So let's go test this. So framing members. Change this to an LVL. Is there anything else that includes just lumber? No. So that method is solid. Anything else will show these reported amounts. Of course, we're going to have to put something in here that if it says solid concrete, that's not going to be right. And then we also have to distinguish first floor from second floor. So we're going to have to put a conditional statement in there. So, all right, I switch it to LVL. Build all framing again. Let's open a framing member. And that did update LVL. Cool. This is cool. Okay, next. I updated and created separate JSON files for the any type and any type name, as well as the framing index. So you can see that those are separate now. You're going to have to edit those individually. Now for the framing index, we want to check what the floor number is. And in this case, we only want to define floor framing for model if the floor number is equal to 0. And then also add in a condition that if the any type name includes concrete, then we want to define floor framing name as grade beam, which is a text string. This is where we really get to see a system sing, where we get to just kind of add these cool things and test it out and not do any work. Just work. The work is kind of up here. I'm like, I feel like I'm just a director, producer, I suppose. I wish I could script because then this would just be like, no problem. And then the biggest problem is once you get a complex enough script, it would be prudent of you to go back and say, hey, could we improve this? Because we're just stacking features right now. We're not necessarily building a great system. Meantime, while that's doing its thing, I'm just going to cross-reference our output with ChatGPT. Now, what's different about Cursor from ChatGPT is Cursor contextually can see um, other variables, whereas ChatGPT, I need to give it those variables because I'm about to paste from Cursor to ChatGPT to see if this does a better job or what approach it takes. But it doesn't know, for instance, any type name, and it doesn't know floor underscore number MVPs. See what it does. Well, it's asking me to classify it. Any type name and floor number. Floor number might be an integer. It's a great question, actually. It is an integer. Good job. Oh, and look, it's even built to put my little copyright in the front of it. Okay, this is a shot. What did it do? Incorrect. Problem here. Find the string. Anytime. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, oops, macros dot. We're referencing a different. So I can just define this in the beginning. I can say any type name equals macros. There we go. All right, so that handles that LVL condition. Now let's go and make it solid concrete and see what happens. That's so cool. I love it when things go right. I'm not, sometimes I'll be at this for hours trying to figure out a problem. I think maybe I should pat myself on the back. I'm getting a little better. So many hours wasted trying to figure out stuff sometimes. And so I should just open the framing member, close it down, and that changes to a grade beam. That's so cool. So like if you were to set up your automatic framing for this floor to look like grade beams, I don't actually know that that's what you would ever do or why or how that even works. But let's just, argument's sake, call this 24 inches. It's joist construction, so it's being built from automatically. Where are we setting spacing up? I guess we're not. We're not here. It's interesting that they don't let you set up spacing there. So what, you get into build framing dialog? No, automatic framing defaults. So spacing is here. Just say that this is like 8 foot on center. Sure. No, I suppose I could have just turned on automatic rebuilding for floor. That is not, and it's the width, huh? The rim joist width, spacing, floor structure 16. Conditional. Doesn't show width here. Oh, here it is. It's a 12-inch. Okay. Insulation. Look at that, there's my grade beams. Well, that's pretty cool. Now I have to, make this intensely more complex if I want the rest of the system to drive the same way. I feel very successful. Does anyone want me to do a little sidebar and show how we can do something else in Chief Architect? You got a problem you want me to handle? Maybe we'll just do a little side quest. I feel like there was something in the Facebook groups. Let's go take a look. Since I thought I was going to be at this for 2 hours just to get that concept in motion. I love this group. It's a really active group. It's fun. It's like coming in and just getting a little news feed. Users of Chief Architect group. How to do this roof gutter in Chief Architect? Well, you're gonna have to draw that molding profile, my friend. Simple. Look at that ugly face. And then still have to get rid of Kevin Bot doing things that are outside of the scope of our group. Kevin Transu, if you're seeing this, your bot is acting up in my Facebook group. Serial question, skirt board question. Maybe this is not where I was trying to find this. Anyone using that Max M4? That was a question here. Thing's pretty impressive. Oh, here's one. Completed a kitchen design and I like to add ground molding to it. Is there a way to do it in default settings? I was actually quite surprised at the comments. To me, the methods mentioned in the comments were not the fastest methods. Yeah, you can marquee select similar, but that's only going to get you wall cabinets, not going to get you full height cabinets, which you know, would be simple enough. And then I'd probably just do a restrictive selection. Let's open something up. So let's get into my, just do it. Well, actually, I don't care if I screw this plan up. I think plan, let's go up a level, drop in some cabinets. Oh, let's call this kitchen, or it's just, now we got a kitchen. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's do this in 3D view. This is my new favorite thing. Man, did they make this a lot more intuitive. Actually, I don't want the floor overview camera. I want something, the floor camera. Wait a minute, I thought floor camera ceilings turned off. Let me try that again. What other cameras we have? Overview. Overview, but I'm going to switch my dimensions 3D overview. The text size that I switched. Hold on. Made it so that it's really easy to see dimensions in this view, but make sure I'm using the correct dimension default. Oh, 3D favorite. There it is. Just gotta switch this to 3D favorite, 3D workflow. There we go. Cool. Had to remember that. All right, so yeah, this is a dream come true. Working in this in 3D is so much faster than it used to be. Still got to get used to placing things accurately. Yeah, that placed accurately. Yeah, just get to drag this and then click that 0. Yeah, this is so sweet. Oh, love it. Still can do tab enter if you want to. It's just so cool. Yeah, amazing. This makes life easy. That's really, really neat. I love it. Let's go. Trying to cycle through tools, but wasn't getting it. Right. And what? Not that they need an oven stack next to a range, but sure. Or actually, let's do this instead. Well, 2-drawer base, 2-drawer base. Ice, garbage, 3-drawer, and why not? Let's make this a little drawer pack. We're gonna put a sink in it. Shift move this over, let go of shift. There. I'm gonna do a video on just tips for doing this in 3D so that people kind of learn what buttons I'm hitting. It's interesting. Why is that referencing there? See, I don't need to do that anymore. Just use the temp dimensions, which I should have done. But yeah, it's still difficult to place a little filler in 3D. It's dumb. but I think I should be able to just click this back side. Yeah, and say 0. Yeah, that's so much better. Let's flesh the toe out. Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. So still difficult to do that, but should be able to do select next side. Yeah. I wish they had an angle rotation in temp dimensions there, but should still be able to do select next side, next side, next side. Interesting that temp dimensions don't show up here. Ooh, geez. They did what for a second there? I gotta figure this out. Is it just selecting the top? The top line. All right. Good. That's in my memory banks now. That's an end panel, but it doesn't have. I do the wrong face side of this. Looks like it. Yeah, I'm on the wrong face of this. There we go. All right. I come up with some easier methods for that. That's got to get better than that. Okay. You click inside it, so you can't, yeah, you can fill this, but you can't get it to resize. Would be nice. Hmm. Automatic blind corners turned on. Doesn't look like it. Nope. Do not. Forces a blind corner. Anyways. Okay, so here is the thought. We've got a kitchen. Actually, let's make it a pretty kitchen since we're here showcasing kitchen style palette. Let's just throw a little backsplash in here. Oh, that's weird. Backsplash cut to, that's really weird. Never seen that before. Ooh, error, ignore. Export my macro in case that error comes back and crashes me and then I don't get this back. Framing index. There you go. Okay, side two. Oh, another error. Oh, don't break me. Let's see, what else do we have here? Ashford Kitchen. Yeah, we'll take that. And this is something common I'll do. Base cabinets, convert to some countertop. That'll be nice, even though it's got some weird breaks. We'll get to pull this out. Inches or 18 inches. New NKVA standards are 18 inches recommended. Funny. Big old numbers. Let's throw some little pendant lights in here. Not. Throw my brand new LED recessed can in here for some realism. These are cool that you get to do spacing and everything in 3D now. You've got your dimensions set up correctly. A little elevation. Perfecto. Good. Bam. Cool. And then what? Little sliding door right here. Why not? That's a pocket door. Look at that pretty little kitchen. Okay, so we've got no molding. We're finally to the question that we're supposed to be answering. We got no molding. And how do you add a molding to everything? There's so many ways. But probably one of the easier ways to do this is you just get to a plan view. So here's one way. Get to a plan view. Choose the full height cabinet tool. Shift select your full height cabinets. Shift very carefully contain selection your wall cabinets, like so. Okay. Now you got all those cabinets. You get to open them up. And we get to add a molding to it. CM03. There we go. And then do a little vertical offset. You can do auto offset. I'm going to pick that up automatically for you. Maybe you want to put in a flat stock here as well and account for the face item. But there we go. Just added a molding to the plan that easily. Bam. So that's a really fast way. Wait. What would be another way? You could build a style palette, but that takes time to build it the first time. But you could do a style palette that just says the only one thing, that it's just copying moldings. So, and then you could apply it to all the wall cabinets and then all the full height cabinets. Honestly, I think what I just showed is the fastest way. Just go backtrack a little. The other thing that might be nice is that you, before you did this, you picked up that this is cabinet white. It's the definition here. And if you went into your default materials or what? Trim? I would think it should pick up. What is crown molding set to? Let's see. Let's see CMO1 or 03. CM03, if we copy it to the user catalog just so we can see what it's doing. Its materials are default room moldings. Interesting. So it'd be cool if you took the time to set up your crown moldings that you're going to use in a kitchen, which is just giving me more ideas from my own library. And that way it defaults to the cabinet material when you apply it. That would be a very nice setup. So here's what you would do. You would say, this is kitchen crown molding. Maybe we'll put KCM03. Okay, KCM03. Open the object. Select the material. Go to material defaults cabinet. Yep, cabinet. And now what we would do is go full height cabinet selection, shift restrictive, select all your wall cabinets, open them up, add new, KCM03, press OK, auto offset, and there's still the wrong material. Probably because this material is not truly the correct one. But if we changed our base material for cabinets to that other cabinet white grade, that's the dark one, cabinet white, this one, there we go. Now they should all match. And voila. Cool. Hey, Doug. Doug is in the house. Hey, Doug. Doug, you want me to show you anything? Because I'm going to end the stream here pretty soon. Because I did what I came here to do, and now I just have a bunch of busy work that I'm going to be doing. I thought I'd throw in a little sidebar. The other thing someone wants me to do that I'm interested in maybe checking out is they want me to build, I have my closet tools and I have my shelf tools. They want me to build a tool that will work for creating walk-in pantry item, shelf stuff. But I need some ideas for that before I start messing around with it. Oh, here's something new that's in my template that I love, and I want to try this out. Rope light. I made my own special custom. See how it performs. In, let's throw a little switch in here where we can manage it. Okay. Do the same thing. Let's throw another switch in here. So we should be able to turn all these off. I just have my under counter lights going. They are angled diffused light. In fact, turn off the sun and set these to like 20%. And the oven off. Yeah, doesn't that look nice? pretty good. These on. Them down. Suppose you don't need to turn both down to a certain amount, but look at that. I mean, that looks like a night shot. Pretty dang cool. Cool. See if you start putting in what's inside of the cabinets. Up in here, what is this little guy? Oh, I managed to put a crown molding on my put a crown molding on my filler over here. I do have a tool that is just a style palette tool to delete molding from something. It's funny. All right. Well, then I'm going to go get back to work. Thank you for joining me, those of you that did. I think, you know, you're obviously going to see an update at some point where I showcase that full system, but man, am I excited about that. Let me just get back to this and double check it again. Get our floor framing double checked. Framing floor plan. There's our grade beams. Let's fix this. Put this back to normal. So go back to that 11/7/8. In our auto build framing menu. A, B? Yeah. No, B? No. Framing? Okay. Or structure? Oh, so you could define it here too. That's kind of clever. I didn't realize that, I guess. Framing, choice, truss, details, insulation, inch and a half. Yep. Keep forgetting where the spacing is. There it is. There we go. And open one of these. And then, oh, guess we could cancel them maybe? We'll see if cancel works. And then if I open up the project browser, see what if details were changed at all. What do you say? See if something is called out for floor framing. Where would it be? I don't think I even show. I don't even show a detail that's calling out floor framing. That's funny. Yeah, this isn't even calling out framing. Okay, let's trade this out. Foundations. Yeah, there's a stem wall detail, but that's a framing overlays, rafters, and entrances. No walls. Framing between floors. Oh, I don't have a typical stem wall detail. That's funny. In my stackables. That seems like a big oversight. Well, I suppose we could build one. Curve. That's very interesting. I would think that this should have plugged in. New error. Dang it. All right, let's bring this down here. Don't think this auto picks up floor framing. Does not. That's an inside joke to myself. Never without humor. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Very cool. Very cool. We go back to the model. Build framing and enter auto. And this is what would be great if we could set this to be. Macros are not accepted in numerical inputs. For example, pretty sure this doesn't work. Pretty sure. Yeah. Even if you were just to say, pretty sure that does. Yep. Yeah, so there's no way to send this value. That's so unfortunate. All right, but let's change this. Since we're back to framing joist define, joist edit. This is, oh, this is still set to solid concrete, which is incorrect. That should have shown solid concrete. Go back to iJoist. For structure for floor one. Builds it. We're still showing grade beam because we need to open this. I would never have automatic framing on anyways, so that's okay. And then that did update that. And that did correctly update this. Ah! Oh! This is going to be so nice for an intermediate end user that they don't have to go into that dialogue. All they have to do is open a framing member. I wonder if I could get it to do that some other way. I think not. I'll go talk to the macro gods and see what's happening. Very cool, everybody. Thank you for joining me. If you're watching this as a recording, you're not missing anything in the chat window because no one's talking. Leave me some feedback if you're wondering, what the heck is all of this? If you're new to the channel, if you're trying to figure out what I'm even doing, basically I build templates, and then, you know, of course I go use them myself, but they end up producing things like this, which is kind of automatic templates where we're saving a lot of time because we're automating process as we go. So you can see here, I didn't send these views, they're already pre-sent to view. So I just get to expand some little window a little bit. So, and center this up. View. And just do little minor incremental things to get full condocs automatically super quickly. So that's really fun. I think I added a new tool in here, a new arrow. Yeah, I did. Look at this. This is my default arrow in layout. Look at that. Creates a match line. Isn't that fun? Do it over here too. Bam. Fast. That's so cool. You just change the size of the arrow. You need that match line to be a different size. Order overview. There's a plan. Plot plan. Yeah, looking cool. All right, I'm out of here. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate you.